We are going to start our statistic unit, and the first thing that we're going to go over is mean, median, mode, and range, which should sound familiar, so we're just kind of refresh ourselves on this. This is a worksheet that we're going to fill out, so I'm going to fill out this this part right here, and then we'll move on to breaking down each one. So we have this thing called measures of central tendency, and these are different ways that we can find average. So depending on what type of average we're looking for, we may find the mean, or if I want the middle number, which could mean average, I would find the median. So right here, we're going to say data, not data, let's say values, because we're talking about values. Values that represent the center are called measures of central tendency, and they include the mean, median, and mode. So we have range on here, but this is not including the range. So the range doesn't give us a measure of central tendency. So it says describe, I'm right here right now. It says describe each measure and how to find it. Then in the example box for each, calculate the measure for the full data set shown. Prices of t-shirts on an entire page. List and to find the measure of central tendency in the middle. You can doodle, color, or embellish. Fun little worksheet for our information. So here we're going to start with, I know mean is first, but I'm going to start with median, because we have to I'll explain why. Let's just do it first and then explain. So for median, which is right here, let me go ahead and doodle for the reason why I got this. So median is right here. And this is one of the ways that we can find the average. And a median, I don't know if you know when you're driving on the road, or rather your parents are driving, and there is this like curb with a grassy area that separates people going on the right side of the road in either direction. That thing right there is called the median because it's in the middle of the road. And so that is what median means. So under the what, we're going to say middle number. Okay, and so in order to find the median, we have to put numbers in order from least to greatest. Trying to make that bigger so you can kind of see it. And then find center. Okay, and then so if there is, I'm right here, if there is or appears to be two numbers in the middle, then we are going to find their mean. And we'll explain what that means when we get to the mean. So in order to do that, we're going to have to take all of these numbers here, and we're going to have to put them in order from least to greatest. The numbers are on these t-shirts right here. So if I'm looking and find the smallest number, that is going to be $4. $4.50. And then, so I want you to go ahead and push pause and put the numbers in order from least to greatest, and then press play when you have finished. Okay, so I wrote mine off to the side at first just because I wanted to make sure I didn't make any mistakes. Then I put it back in your example. So if you don't have it in the example space, go ahead and push pause and write your numbers in your example space. But so after we order from least to greatest, we are going to find the center. And so that just means that we're going to cross out from the front and the back, which means I'm going to cross out the smallest number and then I'm going to cross out the biggest number. Then back to the next smallest number and then the next biggest number. And I'm going to keep doing this until I find the center. And so if I notice, 8 and 8 are the center. And right here, it told us that if we have two numbers in the center, that we have to find the average of the two, or the mean, sorry, which is your average. But this is both 8. So if you have the same number, then that is your answer. So our answer is 8 for the median. Okay, so again, the median is your middle number. Okay, so then now we're going to go back over to the mean. So your mean is the average. And your average is best if there are no outliers. So if there's no outliers, that's going to give you a pretty pure middle number. And what we're going to do is we're going to find the sum of all numbers. And we're going to divide that by number of values in the problem. Okay, so for example, we're going to use this data set right here. And we're going to add up all the numbers. So that's doing 4. That's really hard to see. Let me grab a different color. We're going to go 4 plus 450, 650, 7, 8, 8, 9, 999, 999, and 28. Okay, so go ahead and add up those numbers and press play when you have finished. Okay, so I got 94.98. So that's going to go on top, and then we're going to divide it by the number of values there were. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you don't have to write this out every time. I'm just giving you a visual of what I'm doing. 9, 10. So there are 10 values, so you're dividing by 10. So 94.98 divided by 10, that's just moving one decimal over. And this equals 9.498. That is your average or your mean. And outliers, so now I'm right here. An outlier can skew the mean. So that's why it says it's best if there are no outliers to use the mean. So if we're looking at our data, let's look at outliers. So if we're looking at the value of these shirts, they're pretty low numbers. And then this 28 comes out of nowhere. And so in this unit, you're going to find how to for sure identify an outlier. But I can say I'm pretty confident that 28 is more than double the next largest number. It's safe to say that $28 is an outlier. Okay, so let's go ahead and move to range. Okay, so range is the span of the data. So how do we find the range? We are going to subtract. Okay, and so what are we subtracting? Greatest minus the least. Okay, so we have to identify the greatest number and the least number. And so if you're doing your median and you already have it in order, then that's pretty easy. 4 is your smallest and 28 is your greatest. So we would take 28 minus 4 and get 24 as our range. So range and mode are the easiest to identify, but we also want to remember that that range is not a central measure of tendency, does not give you a middle or an average number or a middle measure. Okay, so range is just the span of the data. And then so let's go ahead and go to mode. So mode means most, and you'll hear me say that a lot. Mode. So let's write most. Let's find a color that is a little greater. Most. Mode means most. Okay, so and that means most. Oh, look, I can zoom. Value appearing. And how do we find mode? We just count. So if we're looking at our data over here, or I could even use this data right here since it hasn't been marked up. Looking at our data, we just count what number appears more than once. So it's okay to not have a mode. If every single number appears the same amount of times, you do not have a mode. Okay, but if there is a number that appears more than once, i.e. the 8s, so that's twice. It appears twice. So then you're going to look and say, does a number appear 3 times? Because if a number appears 3 times, then that's your mode. And we're looking, and no, a number doesn't appear 3 times. So 8's your mode. But then if we look here, 999 also appears twice. So yes, it is completely okay to have 2 modes. So 8 and 9, I don't need that $sign. I didn't write the $sign before. 999 appear twice, which is the most. Okay, so that is your lesson, or I should say recap over measures of central tendency, mean, median, mode, and most.